complicated. It's so hard. I don't understand it. Flash bang fucking talking point sound bites that are lies, but they sound easy to understand. Oh, I'll go with that. Wild and make me laugh. And lie to me, lie to me, lie to me. Don't tell me hard, cold truths. Don't make me do the hard work. Don't make me have to understand complex truths and hold people accountable. I don't want to hold people accountable. Oh, unless they are, a person of color, or maybe they speak another language, or for whatever reason I don't like them. Hey, sweet peaches, I am jumping into the beginning of this video, even though I was minutes away from premiering it yet again. But then I saw something on YouTube that I felt that I just absolutely have to add into this video because it's so relevant. In fact, it is kind of the smoking gun in a way. So one of the lawyers on YouTube that I had been following, which I stopped watching throughout the trial because I got disgusted about how incredibly biased he was and how he was feeding the defense talking points to his chat. It became an echo chamber, and it was just so insanely obvious that the thousands and thousands of people in his chat were believing that everything the defense said was true and everything the prosecution said was a lie. And it was so disgusting to me because I'm like, wow, I thought this guy was a fair, unbiased law commenter, which no, he's actually a civil defense attorney, and I knew because he's a defense attorney that he would have a slant, a pro-defense slant in general. But I was really shocked to see how much of a defense megaphone his channel became. And then that was true for the other lawyer that I watched a lot. So I was shocked that instead of listening to the actual evidence, they were promoting the defense talking points to the point where I unfollowed both of them. I just couldn't bear to watch it because it wasn't fair at all. It was so obviously defense talking points. Well, isn't it interesting? After the trial ended, one of the lawyers, another lawyer I stopped following a while ago, who also was, on the gravy train of the pink mob, he had Yannetti and Alessi on interview. I didn't watch it, but, I clicked on it just to peek and look at some of the comments, and turns out that Alessi was watching that lawyer that I thought was incredibly biased, incredibly pro-defense, incredibly anti-prosecution, and lo and behold, the defense was watching him. They praised him. And the other lawyer who I was watching, who I no longer watch because it was so obvious that they were paid promotions for the defense and that they seemed to be pushing hard the defense version and heavily, severely influencing the people, the chat. And there it was. He literally was being praised by the defense lawyer because of how much his chat and his perspective helped to shape the narrative. And that's really what this is all about. It's about who has the biggest megaphone, who's got more money, who's got more people that they can have as literal defense extensions on YouTube. And just exactly what I feared, what I expressed concern about, which was that the jury, if they are not listening to the rules like they were supposed to, which they obviously were lying about every day, saying, no, we didn't listen to anything, no, we didn't see anything, no, we didn't hear anything, when they were literally obviously being swayed. And even if they weren't listening to YouTube or going on their socials, there was a mob of people standing outside. How can you not be influenced by that if you're scared and you're weak-willed and you're weak-minded? And another thing that so many of the chats, of course, in the very pro-defense chats are saying is like, these were the best jurors ever. They thought about it. Oh my God, they did it right. Did they? Or like that one juror said, I already had my mind made up. I already had my mind made up when I went in there. I already knew what I thought. And then she literally said, she thinks that Karen touched John with her car. She touched him with her car? How the fuck was she going to hit this man and then he went inside and got beat up? And like, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. What about the cell phone data? You ignored it. What about his body temperature? You ignored it. What about the fact that there was no witnesses to see any of that and you just made it up? Defense talking points that they ran with without any evidence, and then actual prosecution evidence that proved beyond any doubt that this woman hit this man with her SUV and left him there to die, ignored. So now we live in a world where delusional fantasy storylines are believed over actual physical evidence. That's scary. But as I touch on in this video, this is the world that we live in, where actual fucking evidence is ignored and replaced by salacious talking points. And people are, the mentality of the average person now is that facts and evidence, oh, it's so inconvenient, it's so complicated, it's so hard, I don't understand it. Flash bang fucking talking point sound bites that are lies, but they sound easy to understand. Oh, I'll go with that. I'll go with that. Uncomfortable, inconvenient truths lose to sound bites. When people prefer pretty lies over the ugly truth, murderers walk free. It's a fucking shame. It's a crying shame. It's a goddamn shame.
CatLoveDreamingBeach.com.
How are you? The air conditioning is on. I'm not going to turn it off because it's 85 degrees outside, and so therefore there's going to be a little hum in the background. My apologies if it is loud. I have my little thingy here, which I bought off Amazon because I saw Christian Hall have one. Or actually, he didn't even have one. He just had a video that showed one, and I was like, oh my God, I have to have it. And I'm going to play with it for a moment while I talk about Karen Reed, which I said that the last video that I made about Karen Reed was going to be the last video that I made about Karen Reed. However, I actually thought, let me pop on and say something else. Why? Because it seems like it's really hard to find somebody who thinks that Karen Reed is guilty, who isn't somehow problematic in some other kind of way. And so it's sad. Also makes me wonder what the fuck. But, you know, I thought, you know, I want to be a voice of reason that speaks out and says the truth, what I think is the truth, without being cringe. So why am I saying this? Because, let's see, one of the people who thought that she was guilty or thinks that she's guilty, went in hard on Hank Brennan for the most ridiculous thing that wasn't even accurate. So I was like, okay, that's annoying, because if you're supposed to be, I don't know, I was just like, I don't even agree with what you're saying. So I agree that you think Karen Reed is guilty, but I don't agree with the rest of what you're saying. So I was like, I'm not going to waste my time here. Then I found someone else who knows that she's guilty. However, his channel got to be very annoying because, and I'm not saying names on purpose, by the way. And if you know them, you might figure it out. So his channel is getting very annoying, and I'm probably going to unfollow him because he shares like 10 videos a day, but then it's like repeats. Sometimes he's there on the screen, but then sometimes he reposts it and it's just like an AI photo. And then you're like listening and you're like, wait, I already heard this. And then, or sometimes it's just the AI photo and then it's him on the screen. So it's like, well, I'm like, I don't understand. Like, I don't really understand why you're putting it again without the video. I don't get it. Whatever, that's on you. But then it starts to get annoying when it seems like there's a new video, but then it's just a repeat. So, but I mean, I get it. Sometimes, like, I've posted a video, maybe I shared it at midnight, and then it didn't really get any views or anything, so then I tried sharing it again, like, you know, in a more active hour. But I don't do that every single day, and I try to avoid it because, I don't know, I find it annoying when you're watching a video and then you see, oh, a new video, and you're like, no, it's the same damn video. I don't get it, okay? And then some of his guests are questionable. Like, he had a guest who didn't even understand what intent, that second degree didn't require intent, and he didn't seem to agree. He didn't seem to understand that. And I'm like, I understand that not everybody knows everything, and they're not lawyers, and they're just giving their opinions, and that's kind of the whole point, that like the jury, now that the jury's, a couple of people have spoken out, I'm just like, oh, okay. They were never going to understand all that detailed data. They were never going to be able to contemplate. Just the fact alone that they didn't even know that the videos of Karen that they were shown and that they were given to contemplate and deliberate, they didn't even know that those were evidence. Like, why would they give it to you? Why would you have it there? Why would they give you some things to deliberate and other things to ignore? The fact that they don't even understand that alone is shocking. And just a couple of little clips that I heard of what those jurors said, it's obvious to me that they were not deliberating with a fine-tooth comb, going over the cell phone data and the Lexus data and all the details. They didn't even know what the fuck they were supposed to be doing in there. And they were obviously swayed by the people outside and the whole, like, astroturfing campaign. I literally just watched a video where they were talking about, they were showing Brian Albert speaking out, saying how ridiculous, which I agree, how ridiculous it is that people are saying he never even went outside. It's like, how could he have gone outside? He was asleep. And then by the time he woke up and was like, wait, what happened? John was gone. So he's like, what am I supposed to do? Run outside in the snow in my underwear? Like, he said, what am I supposed to do? Run outside in my underwear and put yellow tape around the fire hydrant? But like the cops are already out there? Like, this is just not making sense. That's exactly what I said. And then there was an actual photo, which I'm going to show. Like maybe right here, put the photo of the lawn. And you can see, maybe I'll just like put it behind me. You can see how big the lawn is. Like, they always make it seem like the lawn is so tiny and that he would have been right there and that they should have seen him, even though they were coming out of the house and going this way in the dark towards their cars, which were over there. And he was all the fuck over there in the dark, in the snow, laying down, being covered by snow, in a blizzard. They would have been running to their cars, like, not like, oh, it's all the way over there. It's so ridiculous, and I'm just so shocked. But I'm not shocked because I also realized that obviously they had no idea what to contemplate. It's clear to me because of the fact that the way they voted, the verdict that they put, it's just completely clear that they had no ability to, wait, what the hell did I just do? They had no ability to perceive the data, and they just chose to let a woman off for murder. Only fucking here would a fucking murderer walk outside free and have the cheers, the sickening, disgusting cheers that we heard. I'm sorry, I'm distracted over here on my computer. We heard these disgusting cheers as if there wasn't a man who was dead and a family that's in grief. Children who had already been orphaned by tragedy, struck, their mother struck with a brain tumor and then dies 5 months later after being diagnosed. And then the story that we had been told the first time was that the husband had a heart attack 2 months later, but what came out in the second trial was that he OD'd on the mother's grave with a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. Oh my God, the tragedy that this family has been through, the horrific pain. It's like, of course, him having a heart attack, just generally having a heart attack would be horrific. And and I had always imagined that it was from the sheer grief and the stress and the panic of having lost his wife and being a widow of and a dad of these babies and everything. And yes, all of that is true, but to know that, like, there was those added elements of incredible tragedy, heartbreak, and that these people, the pro-Karen people took it like, oh my God, I can't believe that Hank did that. What I felt like, I cannot believe that Karen Reed is putting this family through what she's putting them through. And she knew John. She knew John when he was younger. She knew the fucking sister before she died. She probably knew. Maybe she didn't. I don't know how well, how much they had been together or anything like that. But she said that her and John had dated like 20 years before when they were in their 20s. So maybe she didn't know the sister. Maybe the kids hadn't been born yet. Obviously, they hadn't been born yet. So she didn't know the brother-in-law. But she knew the family. Like, at least on some level. And to be that callous, it's just sickening to me that the only few people out here who are willing to say, you know what, it's really a tragedy that a woman could get away with murder like that and lie about innocent people who were just there trying to live their lives and or actually help her. And she's just walking free now. The other guy I found, I'd only watched about a week's worth of his things. Turned out he'd be a fucking racist. It's like, wait, did I just make the same mistake again? Please hold. So then the other guy who I find who's like, and I had already complained about him. Remember, I said I only watched 2 of his videos. And I don't know, he kind of seems to be, he's like insulting her in a way that seems like pretty harsh. And then I had said, I know I've been insulting Karen too. And maybe it's not fair to try to say, well, your insults are worse than my insults. But then today, he was talking about the juror and, fucking racist. I was like, oh no. Goodbye. Unfollow. So it does feel shitty to know that the handful of people who who openly admit that, maybe that's what it is that the people who do know that she's guilty, they don't want to say so, because just like I said, I felt like I got run out of those chats. You get run out of a chat, and it's not just getting run out, but it's like there is absolutely no room for genuine discussion And when it's literally an echo chamber and everyone thinks one way, while they believe, everybody agrees, therefore we all think the same way, therefore that makes it true. Well, like, it's just like in a cult. It's not that it's true, it's just that everybody who has a different opinion has left. So, like, a lot of people have no idea even about this trial. It's not as if it's some worldwide thing like Johnny Depp, let's say, where, you know, he already had a worldwide global fan base. And, you know, it's like my mom, I was talking to her about it, you know, she heard about it. I mean, she mostly had heard about it through me, but of course it's on the news. And, you know, same with my sister, like, they would see little headlines. They weren't paying any attention. They didn't care about it. They weren't invested at all. They only listened to like a few things that I mentioned about it. But, you know, they were like, oh, when they saw that she was found not guilty, they both reached out like, oh, you know, what do you think? And I'm like, it's just a shame. It's just, to me, this is one of those examples in the world and in our country, in the US, where I live, of systemic racism and white privilege, and how the justice system is extremely imbalanced. It's not actually justice, because the fact is that despite what the media campaign, that's what I was going to say about that video where Brian Albert spoke out, and then there was an actual photo of the Alberts' front lawn where you could clearly see that it was not a tiny lawn. And the thing is that the facts that are there are so clear to me. He was in a debris field of her taillight. His shoe, his hat, the glass, the straw, the scratches on his arm, as was shown by Dr. Welcher, and the defense, Dr. Wolf. Both of them proved those scratches on the arm absolutely came from the taillight. The taillight absolutely fractured, probably from hitting his arm. And there was proof and evidence that sometimes there are vehicular impacts on a pedestrian and they get a broken skull and no broken bones. Just like that woman who was hit in the Walmart with her 6-year-old daughter. Her 6-year-old daughter had broken bones all over her body. The mom had a busted skull. No broken bones on her body. Let me see if I can find anything, an update. Well, unfortunately, I can't find an update, but it was May 9th, 2025. A hit and run. Christian Souza de Oliveira and her 6-year-old daughter, Alia Rodriguez, was a hit and run, although they did find the driver, Howells. A Florida woman has been charged over a hit and run, which injured a mom and left her young daughter fighting for her life. Lauren Howells, 32, plowed into the victims at a Walmart parking lot in Largo on Thursday, according to police. She was booked in Pinellas County Jail and has a mugshot. So I don't know. There's no update on their conditions at the time. Oh, here's a little jump scare. So that's her. Okay. So, oh wait, that's not actually her. Where is it? It is her. That was her. This is the actress that they were saying. Her mugshot has drawn comparisons to Piper Chapman, the fictional inmate in the Netflix show Orange is the New Black. They're saying that is, well, anyway, hit and run driver's extraordinary resemblance, well, to a famous prison inmate. So it's kind of like, you look exactly like this prisoner. Not really a compliment, is it? Anyway, the point is that they got hit by her car, and the mother had a cracked skull, but no broken bones. At least none were reported. And during the testimony, during the trial, Dr. Welcher mentioned somebody else who he had worked on a case where same. Yes, there were internal injuries, but John had internal injuries as well. But what really needs to be emphasized, which I feel like is minimized way too much, is the fact that it's not a case that there is no evidence. That is just absolutely simply not true. It's a case of we are ignoring the evidence. We don't understand the evidence. We choose to disregard this evidence. We don't even know what the fuck evidence is. You handed us the evidence and said, here, go deliberate on the evidence. Here's the evidence. Go deliberate on it. And then they were back there like, what is this? Is this even, are we even supposed to look at this? I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. I don't even know what this is. Is this evidence? And if it is, what are we supposed to do with it? Are we supposed to put it on our heads or pop it in our armpit? You know, they were like, Karen Reed's own statements? Pff, irrelevant. So what I am learning more and more, so, you know, as I've been very interested in watching live trials and listening to lawyers and being somewhat of an investigative journalist and kind of following along and seeing how the process goes and understanding that, you know, different states have different laws and different ways of doing things, and there's different standards applied, you know, like how in the Rush trial there was a lot of evidence that Hannah Gutierrez Reed, a young 20-some immature person who was given a lot of authority in a title, but actually not in practice. And she did not have control over the entire set and all of the guns and how everybody was moving and using them and all that stuff. If she had that authority, then I would have felt that she should have been held to that standard. But what the trial proved and what the evidence proved and the testimony proved and the witness statements proved was that Hannah, in fact, was more like a part-time employee who was told where to go and what to do. And she was young and inexperienced and immature and a Nepo baby, and she just absolutely was not in charge in the way that the law held her accountable for. So, and then there was Alec Baldwin, who got off completely because the fucking prosecutor had it out for him and hid like thousands, like so much evidence, and put it in another case number. It's like, she was so corrupt. But that corruption also impacted Hannah, and it also impacted how Hannah was prosecuted. And the whole entire production was run by these rich, wealthy, somewhat powerful in their field people. And Hannah was just like a cog in the wheel, but she was the only one, a 20-something-year-old, inexperienced, immature, low-ranking, part-time person on the totem pole, had to spend 18 months in prison. Well, actually, I think it was about, no, I think she did like 14 months. And I thought that was, it just wasn't fair. It wasn't just, in the sense that the people who were in charge of Hannah, They got literally a slap on the wrist, not even probation. They got nothing. They were like, boom. They didn't even get that. But she ended up having to actually do prison for 14 months. Okay, it might not sound like a lot, but I don't think anybody wants to do prison. And I get it. A woman died, and she was responsible in a lot of ways. However, there was a lot of people who were way, 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 way more responsible, who didn't do a damn thing to ensure that, like, even if Hannah had wanted to be in control, there was just no way. She was a part-time cog on a wheel. She was a little nobody. This was her second gig that she kind of got because of who her dad is. Thel Reed. Another Reed. That's funny. Hannah Gutierrez Reed, but it's R-E-E-D. Reed. So, anyway, my whole point was that the chat was going hard against Hannah, and the judge went hard against Hannah. The judge literally gave her the maximum she could, and then she had to do 85% of it, and the judge had even added on. It was a violent crime, which was like so insane to me. Like, it was negligent. So here you have a woman, Hannah, who was on a movie set, had absolutely no maliciousness or intent, wasn't drunk, didn't even do anything except fail to know that there was a live round in there. And like, these weren't even the like, she was given these bullets. They were so chaotic, and I understand it's like she was supposed to be in charge, but just because somebody's supposed to be in charge doesn't mean that the people who are in charge of her are giving her that authority, are creating a space that's safe, that allows her to do the work that she needs to do. She didn't have authority to tell these people where to go, what to do. She was literally being pulled off of armorer tasks to go do something else. There was chaos. When the other gun went off with the, I don't remember the other girl's name, the one who had zero experience, who shouldn't have been touching guns, but was being allowed to because Seth thought she was cute or whatever. These are the details I'm remembering. And Hannah was being like told to go over there with props, or like, you know, it's like the fact that this girl, Hannah, was held accountable to such a standard. Hannah Gutierrez Reed spent 14 months in prison for being on a movie set that was fucking chaos, and having absolutely no idea that there was a live round in there, and somehow it made it into the bullet that the lead actor accidentally shot at the fucking director. It's like such a bizarre set of sequence of circumstances. And hey, okay, she did the time. She's out. She'll never be able to be an armorer. You know, her whole entire life path has to shift now. And it is what it is, but at the same time, to know that another woman actually killed a man by drunk driving and hitting him with her car. And like I've said in the last few videos, I do now genuinely believe she had no intention to kill him. She was probably just gonna zoom back and fucking fling some curses, and John, I fucking hate you! But she gunned it because she was on her 7th fucking vodka tonic. You know, the dirty soda water with lime. So I had to put another shot because it was so weak to my tastes. Yeah, because you're a fucking lush. And all the little twerps in the comments like, those cops was drinking and driving too. Okay, so you give them a year, 12 months probation. You don't let a murderer who hit her boyfriend with her SUV and left him there to die off because some cops drunk and drove. No, you prosecute them. You do the right thing. You do the right thing across the board. You don't let a murderer walk free. because other people did a bad thing, and you don't accuse innocent people of murder because you're so utterly incensed at the idea that a white woman, a skinny, somewhat blonde, wealthy-ish, somewhat attractive-ish white woman, the idea that she would be held accountable and held to a standard of justice that, would equal, let's say, like I've mentioned before, Anthony Carmelo, the justice that those people who love Karen Reed want Anthony held to, I'm going to bet you they're not going to be out there in their pink shirts screaming, "Free Anthony, free Anthony, it was self-defense." You don't have any idea what happened, do you? What was it, self-defense when Karen rammed into John? Even the fucking juror said, I think she touched John with her car or her vehicle. Even she admitted it, but then makes up a story that he went into the house even though the cell phone data proved that he never did go into the house. It proved it, people. The temperature and the GPS data points, it proved that he never went in the house. Yeah, the bigger, wider ones showed that it pinged over there, but the location of the phone and the temperature of the phone and the pings, you have to be able to discern information and not just take one little piece of information and run rampant making up something that doesn't exist. And then I think the thing I heard the other juror say, the clip I heard him saying was, if you're only 99% sure, you can't convict. Again, that is one of the most fundamental and basic things. Beyond a reasonable doubt never says, never, it's nowhere near 100%. They didn't say you need to be 100% sure. Beyond a reasonable doubt, nowhere in there is that 100%. 100% doesn't mean, like, how do you not understand? If you know something, then you know it. Then you're 100%, you know it. If you're trying to figure something out that you don't know 100%, you'll never know 100%. There's no way to ever know 100% unless you actually have a video of it happening. But the evidence can be so overwhelming that it is a clear and obvious picture. Again, like with the mail, you left the house in the morning, you didn't have mail in your mailbox. Like when I went outside before, and I know that my mailbox was empty, there was something in the mail. And I was like, oh, there's something in the mail. It was a piece of junk mail, and I didn't take it out. So now when I go downstairs again, I know that that piece of mail is going to be in my mailbox still. I bought 2 flags for the lawn. I put them down in the ground, and they're like this. Okay, if you're standing in front of my house looking straight, they look like this. But when you drive or you're walking from the side, you can see them. Well, the other day I went down, and one of them was like this against the house. It's a pride flag. And my son, my 13-year-old son, had been saying that he thought that they looked a little haphazard the way I had placed them. And I was like, well, they're not haphazard. He was like, well, they're kind of like skewed on the lawn. And I said, well, sometimes me and the neighbor, we put our recycle bins or the garbage bins like on the side of the porch. Like if it's raining or whatever, sometimes I've put mine there and he's put his there, copying me. But anyway, and then I put them on the other side of the house, which he also does now because he's copying me. But anyway, so I don't want them there. And then, like, he wanted them there. And then I said, and I have to walk this way, so I have to leave a path. Anyway, I was like, I put them there for a reason. Okay. So then a couple, when I saw like that, I was like, what the heck? And I could see that it was actually because there's 2 prongs that go into the ground, and then it's like a thing that you can screw. So it was turned like from this way to this way, but the prongs were also in differently. So whoever, like somebody had actually picked it up out of the ground and then put it back down differently. So my first thought was it my son? Because he had mentioned about, he thought it looked haphazard. So that was the first thing I did. I went and I said, hey, son, did you move the flag? And he said, what do you mean? I said, the flag that you thought was like haphazard, did you reposition it? He said, no. And I said, oh, okay. So then I went and asked my other son. I said, did you happen to move the flag? And he was like, what flag? Okay. So then it's an actual mystery because I had never saw who did it. But I'm assuming somebody did it. Oh, and then me and my 13-year-old were parked in front of the house in our car. I think we had just gotten home. Yeah, we had just gotten home from when I picked him up from school. And when we pulled up, we pulled up and I parked. And then we were talking for a second and I turned and I looked and there was a little bird perched on the flag. I said, oh, look, a little bird on the flag. And then he said, do you think he moved the flag? And I said, I don't think he would be strong enough to lift it out of the ground and reposition it another way. And he said, yeah, that's probably right. Okay, so we figured that the bird probably didn't move the flag. So I don't know, was it one of the neighbors? Maybe the mailman was bringing the mail, and as he was walking across my lawn to go to the next door neighbor's house, he didn't notice the flag was there because it's new, and he wasn't paying attention, and maybe he tripped and he knocked it over, so he tried to put it back. And he didn't know how it was in because he hadn't seen it. That's a thought. Or maybe somebody, I didn't hear anybody mowing the lawn or anything. I had thought to myself, if somebody had been mowing the lawn, maybe they moved it. But the fact is that I don't know, and there's no video of it. My downstairs neighbor doesn't have a Ring camera. I don't either. Maybe my across the street neighbor does, but I'm not gonna go like, hey, can you go back to a few days ago to your video camera and see who moved my flag? So it's a mystery. I'll never know. And I have to just deduce somehow it got moved. Maybe it was not nefarious, and like I said, the mailman accidentally bumped into it, not seeing it there, or a UPS guy or somebody like that who had a package in their hand and wasn't paying attention and was looking at the thing to find the address and accidentally bumped into it, Maybe it was somebody who was going to steal it, but then they changed their mind. Maybe somebody was going to take it down, and then maybe somebody took it down and then somebody saw it down and then they put it back up. I don't know. I didn't see it. By the time I saw it, it was moved. And I didn't see it. My point is that if you're going to try to figure out a mystery and they're giving you evidence and clues and testimony and statements from the person who's the defendant, and they're showing you photos of a dead body, and they did testing, and there's cell phone data and forensic data and taillight fragments in the sleeve and grass stains on the jeans in a ripped pocket, like his back pocket on the jeans was ripped where he probably either struck the vehicle and more likely the ground and slid. And why didn't they have photos of John's dead body? Because they don't take pictures of victims while they're in the middle of trying to save them, and they have no idea what happened. And he wasn't shot, he wasn't stabbed. They didn't know why he was down there, what happened. They did start to find some taillight fragment pieces, though, right away. And Karen was saying, I hit him to multiple people. and talking about her taillight being broken, and then her taillight was broken. The problem is that it's not that the police did such a horrific job, because I think like they didn't really do a horrific job, because there was a lot of evidence and it points to her being guilty, and it's pretty fucking obvious that she's guilty. But Trooper Proctor said some nasty things, and that was really wrong, and he was unprofessional, and he was ignorant because he thought that he was being unprofessional in a way that he thought was private. However, it wasn't private, because he's a fucking trooper and it was a murder. And certain things seem private, but when it comes to a murder trial, discovery can lead to things being discovered. And so the fact that he didn't know that well enough to protect himself and to protect the case. And you know what's really sad is that what I thought was that he felt that way about her. He despised her because he learned that she killed a cop. She fucking hit and run and killed her boyfriend. And he was pretty fucking peeved about that. But he was unprofessional, and he said stuff he shouldn't have said. And to people he shouldn't have said it to, on a platform that was not secured or private. He also was drinking and driving on the job. So he rightfully lost his job. I have never once claimed that he shouldn't have lost his job, or that his behavior was good. But listening to those two little clips of those jurors, it's very obvious to me that they were taken by the crowd and the I got distracted. I'm sorry. What was I saying? That the amount of evidence against her, it's appalling that the victim got lost and forgotten. And I really thought that Hank Brennan did a pretty good case. However, he also was, it seemed like Lally, the first time, the prosecutor Lally, was so focused on proving the defense theories were false, and he called all those people on, and I thought that they did well, but then they became attacked. They had already been being attacked, and then they got more attacked, and they got picked apart, and they were called liars, and their lives were really made hell. And it was really, really cruel that they were put through that, when the evidence is overwhelming that she hit him. What was more overwhelming, I guess, was the media campaign, which finally brings me back to the point that I was saying about that little clip where I got the picture of the Albert's house and how large the lawn actually was. Is that lawyer was saying, oh, well, Karen did a really great media campaign, and that's what it really was. That's exactly what I've been saying. Yeah, she did a great media campaign. She had in other words, an astroturfing campaign with sock puppets and bots, and sock puppets being accounts that here's I have this. Oh, by the way, I was talking about that sign that I put on the lawn, and I got whoops, it's okay. And I had these little plastic or silicone covers. I had 4, and then I got a second one, and I was like, oh yeah, I knew I had bought something, and I could not for the life of me remember what these little covers were, where they were from. But anyway, so I've been playing with it like a little fidget toy. So a sock puppet, I'm going to use this for a sock puppet. A sock puppet is one person who then makes another account that they act like is a second different person, but they repeat the same talking points and slogans. Then they make another account and another account. And why is a sock puppet is because it's like a puppet that they've got their hand in there and they're moving it around as if it were real, but it's not really real. It's the same person. And then they keep building and making more, however many they can possibly make. Okay, and then so you've got one person, see, it's like a fucking worm. You got one person who's controlling all of these accounts. And so in the chat, just think of how many people, if you've got, let's say you've got 500 people who are willing to do this, and then each of them have 10 accounts. How many is that? That's 5,000 accounts that can comment all day, every day on the live streams, on multiple streams, Court TV, Law and Crime, this lawyer, this channel, that channel. And they drown out all the people who are discerning, who are critical thinkers, who are really looking at the evidence and saying, you're saying these slogans. It's very similar in my mind to Kamala Harris campaigning against Trump. It's identical. You got the poised, educated, mature person who's got the facts, the data, the history, the understanding, the depth, the nuance, the emotional intelligence, who's got, who's the good person who's got justice on her mind and on her side, who wants to do the right thing for the people. And then you've got this fucking buffoon who's loud and obnoxious, but has sound bites and catchy little clips and says stuff that it's like people understand, even though it's a lie and even though it's not true at all, and it's a complete perversion and twisting of the facts into utter bullshit, and accusing innocent people of being villains when they are the villain. Things like, there was no collision, there's no evidence, she didn't do it. All of those things are lies. It was the McAlberts, it was them, it was corruption, she was framed. These are catchy, easy to understand, salacious drama. It's exciting. I have to sneeze. Oh, I thought I was going to get a third one in. I only did two, but I only captured one. Anyway, you know what the fuck? Just like Trump. Now, maybe there's some MAGA bitches up in here. If you're here, yeet. I told you to yeet. I told you to yeet a long time ago. One thing I did do when I was watching the trials on the various streams is I would just, when I was not doing work and I was like actually fully engaged with the trial, I would just sit there blocking trolls. Like any, obviously, Karen Reed person, I was just like, block, they are the villain. Things like, block. And that, I think, helped to protect my own sanity, as well as probably my channel. And, like I said, if one person has endless accounts, and like I saw so many repeats, I was like, I already blocked you. And as I was saying, the fact of the matter is that listening to these various trials for the last couple of years and seeing how the system of so-called justice works, and how it works for some people and it works against other people, and some people are given, like, I saw a comment that said something in this realm, I don't remember exactly, but it was this sense of like giving somebody the benefit of the doubt, but to such an extreme that, again, it's like, is this white privilege thing? Like, what is it about this particular woman that would lend people to be so willing to disregard all of, like, and like somebody made a comment I made a comment saying, well, a murderer got away. And of course somebody was like, there was no evidence. And I'm like, actually, that's just not true. There was data. There was testimony. There was physical evidence. There was forensic data. There was DNA. There was literally every kind of evidence that you could have. There was circumstantial evidence and actual physical evidence. There was actual physical witnesses, not witnesses to her doing it, but witnesses to her being there right before it happened and leaving right after, and her admitting it. Like they didn't even know that Karen's own words could be used against her, and that her very damning things that she said, admitting so many things. Again, it's like, this is not giving somebody the benefit of the doubt. This is giving somebody a get out of jail free card because we like how you look and we think that you're just too pretty to be a murderer. And so we just rather accuse innocent people. And it makes me sad, but at the same time, we live in this world. Like, the fact that Kamala Harris had the level of support and the amount of crowds, like the huge, enormous, multi-thousand people events that she was putting on in every city, everywhere she went, every day. And Trump was like, crowds, like they literally were going to some of the same stadiums, and then they had these side-by-side photos like within days, and you could see it with your own eyes, like the same exact spot in the same arena. You could see the evidence, but then somehow the numbers magically just didn't add up on that day. And it made me wonder, was there that many people who were truly out there voting for the slogans, the lies, the racism, the ignorance, the xenophobia, the homophobia, the every kind of fucking phobia you can have except not being phobic of being racist? And just the sheer ignorance of people, the inability of people to sort through complex data. Like, that's what I was saying. Kamala Harris was complex, and she talked about real issues in a real way, and she talked about policy and information that was, a lot of words, not just slogans. She talked about the hard truths. She talked about things that a lot of people just don't have the intelligence or the patience or the desire or the mindset or the lifestyle to even know how to contemplate. It's like, people who don't know that they don't know, and they don't even know that they should know. They don't care to know. Maybe they don't need to know. Like, there's just there's like this level of people who exist with slogans and sound bites. And I like the quick and the drama. I like the reality show style. I like, plaster your face with bad makeup and talk wild and make me laugh and stuff. Lie to me. Don't tell me hard, cold truths. Don't make me do the hard work. Don't make me have to understand complex truths and hold people accountable. I don't want to hold people accountable. Oh, unless they are, a person of color, or maybe they speak another language, or for whatever reason I don't like them. Maybe I just don't like the way they live their life, or I don't like their hairdo, or, I don't like their political views. So those people, fuck off, Living in a world where you're seeing innocent people being carried away and dragged away, a student just trying to get educated so she could have a life for herself and have the strength to share her views, complex views, uncomfortable truths. The whole, white people do bad things too. Americans are not angels. Maybe there's a reason why some people feel the way they do. maybe it's retaliation. But no. Let's just have masked men wearing plain clothes in an unmarked van just kidnap a woman off the street, and that's cool. We can just arrest Democratic leaders. That's cool. But a white woman, a drunk driving white woman who hit her boyfriend who she was enraged about and already jealous and acting psycho the whole time before and after? There's no way. He was laying in a debris field of her taillight fragments, and they were also embedded into his shirt. And there was grass stains and rips on his jeans from being skidded across the lawn. And he had hyperthermia and a busted skull. And his phone was frozen underneath him, and the hat and the shoe and the glass and the straw. And her own statements again and 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 again. The fact that they could have gotten the DNA of all the people in the house and the dog at any time if they had wanted to. They would have happily given it over, but they never asked for it because they wanted to make crazy making stories that were fantasies that were the sidewalk that ends nowhere. They didn't want to do an actual investigation. Did you hear what attorney Alan Jackson said at the end when they were out there with the mics? She was like, oh my God, thank you. And I'm the one who she's like, it was you guys, my fans, my supporters. It was all you. And I'm the one who fought for justice for John O'Keefe the most. And then you've got Alan Jackson saying, oh, the reporter was like, are you guys going to open the investigation and try to find the real killer? And he was like, no, the investigation is closed. This is over. Yeah, because if you investigate any further and you find one more piece of evidence, she's damned. Where was her cell phone? Why didn't we ever get to see her cell phone data? Why didn't we see where her cell phone GPS went? Why was that never turned over? Why didn't we see her laptop? Why didn't we see those Ring camera videos from John's Ring camera that were deleted? The ones that proved that her taillight was broken, specifically when he came home, when she got home from hitting him at 12:36, specifically when she left John's house with Jen and Kerry, when they testified that she showed them her broken taillight, deleted. We saw it when they came back, when they got there the first time, and she did not show them anything. That one wasn't deleted, but the one when they left the house was deleted. We saw a video of her brother and dad bringing her there, and they walked by and looked at the car and was like, and then there was some of it that was deleted. We saw a video of cops coming to do a wellness check on the kids, and they pulled up right behind her vehicle, and you saw a big chunk of her taillight missing. You saw the video when she backed out at 5:07 or whatever, and she did not hit John's car. She tried to make it look like she hit John's car, but she didn't. And Dr. Welcher proved that even if she had tapped his car, which she may have had done, the way her car shaped and his car was shaped, science and shit, biomechanical engineering science, proved with fucking 3D models of these fucking cars that he bought one and he had John's, and he proved beyond any doubt that if her car, when her car tapped him, because of the fucking angles and the geography and the typography of her fucking car and his car, the tap would have been down at the bottom, not at the headlight, tail light. She did not break her tail light then. There were no pieces of tail light fragments on the ground by John's car. She did at one point say that when she broke her taillight, she took a piece off, and there was a piece that was never recovered, which was testified to, that when they put all the pieces that they found, they took out her taillight thing from the car, and they found all the pieces over those couple of weeks as 21 inches of snow was melting, and they put it all together. More science, forensic science and shit. And they put it all together, and there was a piece missing. And she had said in a clip that she had plucked a piece of the broken taillight out. Where did it go? We'll never know. The fact is, there was a plethora of evidence, a universe worth of evidence. There was so much evidence. And they just decided to ignore it, to discard it, to act like they didn't know what it was. They outright didn't know what it was. They were not intelligent. They were not discerning. They already had an agenda. They just wanted to get out of there and set a woman free. And it makes me feel sad. It makes me feel sad for John. I wonder about John's spirit. Just think about those children. Their mother died in a tragic way. Then their father died in an even more tragic way. And then they found a dad in their uncle who was there to love them and protect them and be there for them. And for 9 years, that's what he was doing. From when they were 3 and 6 to 15 and 12 years old. She was 14 at the time. My son is 13 right now. I can relate. And my other son is 16. So my kids are similar to Wendy Adelson's kids, very similar in age, which is part of why maybe I felt so touched by it, you know, knowing that these young children, similar in age to my own, are being raised in such tragedy, such injustice. Like with Wendy Adelson's kids, she's still living with them, raising them, the murderer of their own dad. And they've got to know, I mean, again, hey, people can live their entire lives in absolute denial. Like these Karen Reed people. 50 years from now, they're going to be like, she was innocent. She wasn't innocent. She's not innocent. And I hope that it's eating her up inside. I mean, at this point, that's all. I mean, well, there's the civil cases that the people can, you know, his family and friends can bring against her. I know that his family is, but at the same time, she's got a lot. She still has her cult behind her and the money that they're pouring into her. And now, you know, on one hand, I heard one guy saying, you know, let her get money from movies and books because then when they sue her, there'll be money for them to get. But not if she's going to have these lawyers or other lawyers who are just going to play off the whole thing. And say, I mean, she's now been acquitted. So some people think it was riddled with reasonable doubt. I don't think it was reasonable at all. It's not reasonable to let fantasies and delusions and conspiracies that have absolutely no evidence at all to be what guides you. That's not reality. That's not reasonable. That's why can't I say the word?
Conspiratorial. Conspiratorial.
Conspiratorial.
Conspiratorial.
Conspiratorial. Relating to or suggestive of a secret plan made by a group of people to do something unlawful or harmful. And I think it's unlawful and harmful. I think it's conspiratorial.
Conspiratorial.
Conspiratorial to band together to get a drunk driving murderer off because you think she's pretty. She's a pretty woman with some nice fancy suits. She's got $3,000 suits. She can't be up in prison. I guess not. I guess if you're white and you're wealthy and you've got white privilege and you've got money and you can, I mean, I genuinely believe that they did pay off some lawyers. Like, I would have never thought that guy that I used to follow a lot, and actually I was a member of his thing for like 2 whole fucking years. It's not like a whole lot of money. Let's see. So like probably $75 to $100 between, you know, the membership fees and occasional super chats or, yeah, you know. I didn't do that a lot, super chats, but I probably did, you know, 3 or 4 over the last couple of years. And then I paid every month, you know, and hey, I appreciated him. It was entertaining. It was educational. I did not always agree with him. A lot of times I didn't agree with him. A lot of times I felt like he, you know, well, he's a defense attorney, and I felt like he's looking at things more from the perspective of like, how could I potentially find a way to poke holes in this story? Like, where is that little thread? Where's the little snag that I could like yank to create confusion and doubt, create an alternate storyline? And again, it's like, I understand that you want to be able to defend people. I feel like I would not be a defense attorney because I would not ever have to defend somebody who was guilty, and I could never do that. And a lot of times that's what they do. They defend people who are guilty, and they try to get them off completely or get them a lesser sentence or get them some kind of deal. And some high-powered, you know, Alan Jackson literally defended Harvey Weinstein. Again, not every defendant that a lawyer defends, it's I mean, hey, somebody's gotta do it. But you know, that kind of tells me the kind of person that he is and the kind of people that he's willing to defend, and the kind of, it's like, you're really, really, really wealthy. Hey, you're a sleazebag who's raped God knows how many fucking hundreds of people, but I will take your money and try to get you off because I can confuse, because I can make shit up. I can make something riddled with doubt, riddled with reasonable doubt, even if it's not fucking reasonable at all. Let me see, is this on? I'm trying to see if my charger is in or not. So anyway, those are my thoughts. There's going to always be people who are going to say she was innocent, there was no evidence, there was no collision. But those are just talking points. That is not the truth. There is gobs and gobs of evidence. It's there if you wanted to see it. If you want to find it, if you want to know about it, there it is. But are you willing to listen? Do you have the ability to even comprehend it? Do you have the desire? That's the whole thing. It's like, I'm looking over here because I'm trying to make sure that I unfollowed that guy. Like, that's another thing. If I am unsubscribing, you racist fucking jerk. And while I'm at it, I will unsubscribe from this other guy who I won't name because I don't need to shit on people that way. Unsubscribing from you because I'm annoyed as fuck that every 2 seconds you're reposting the same shit. And you're just regurgitating the same thing again and again and again. So, bye-bye. Okay? You know what? I want to fix up my little own painting. A little bit of paint. My little paint brushes. And my little Lazy Susan of paint brushes. Move this over here. So it's time to shift. I'm not 100% saying I'm done with true crime, although I don't know. Like Steven, hey, shout out Steven. Like you were saying, it feels very. I'm angrified. I'm pissed. Let me move some of these things. I'm mad about it. I'm mad about witnessing no justice for for an innocent man who was just trying to be a good guy. He just wanted to raise his niece and nephew who had been orphaned by tragedy. Absolutely no fault of their own. They had done absolutely nothing wrong. They were just little babies trying to exist. And he hadn't done anything wrong. He was just a man just trying to deal with the tragedy of losing his own sister. Right? Wasn't just a man who was just adopting his niece and nephew. He was a man who had lost his own sister and his own brother-in-law, and he'd also lost his cop partner to S. I mean, it's such a tragedy. What the brother and the mother have been through, and all the loved ones have had to go through. And then to have Karen Reed plow him down with her vehicle in a drunken rage, and then turn around and blame 3 dozen people, and to get off, to fucking walk away scot-free after murdering a fucking cop. My God, what has this fucking world come to? Or maybe, you know what? It's always been this fucking way, where a fucking wealthy white woman, not even a nice lady, not at all. She's not a nice person. She's a nasty fucking drunk. And she can just get off with killing a man, senselessly killing a man in a drunken rage. And then innocent people are being stolen from their loved ones, from all of us, every day, lives being taken away, justice not happening for them. And then, I don't know, it's very disheartening. And I was especially disgusted by those lawyers that I had, you know, again, maybe it was my own implicit bias, my unseen belief that these were trustworthy people, not grifters, who, you know, you're handsome and you're telling the truth, you're funny, whatever, you know, but only to watch it slowly come apart. Hey, I mean, with some people, some creators, like I said, that guy who I just unfollowed, who I won't name, I mean, it was like 2 videos in, even the first video, and I'm like, I don't know, you're coming across pretty harsh, but let's see, let's give you a listen. And then, you know, I mean, my God, I have no tolerance for racism and sexism and, you know, just absolute ignorance. And I guess that's kind of where I'm coming from at this point. It's like, to see these trials go like this, to see actual evidence just be discarded because these people are fucking clueless, and to know that, like, a murderer can walk free in this one instance, but then innocent people are murdered, and then the people who murdered the innocent people get off. It's just it definitely is disheartening, and, you know, it's making me think maybe it's time to take a break from listening to trials. As I said, there's a hair on me. My channel started off, let me show, kind of liked the way it was coming out. I kind of want to just leave it like that without even using the brush. Maybe I can use the brush a little bit. But my God, it's so disheartening that justice is almost like an illusion. I mean, look at Donald Trump. Again, if you're MAGA, fuck off. Look at how he literally, he's an adjudicated rapist. He raped a woman. And it was proven in court twice. He's supposed to pay her almost $90 million. And he's still walking. He's a fucking president. He said, grab him by the pussy. You can grab him by the pussy when you're a star and they let you, which no, motherfucker, no, they don't. No, you can't. But he did. And he got away with it. When I heard that tape when he said, grab him by the pussy, they'll let you if you're a star, I was like, oh, he is toast now. He's out of there. No, he was in. He was in. This is the fucking world we live in. A world in which a racist, rapist, xenophobe can say the most outrageous and disgusting things, can do the most disgusting, outrageous things, and is getting away with it, and people are like cool with it, or they're not cool with it, but they're just letting it happen anyway. And a woman like Karen Reed can just kill a man, a cop, a good man, raising his orphaned niece and nephew. Just walk. She's walking free. Now she's going to make a movie. And just think of all the suffering that the friends and the family and the witnesses, the reason that she targeted them was because they knew the truth. They knew that she hit him with her vehicle. They knew that she was vitriol, hatred, and fuck you! They knew it. And that's why she hated them. Because they knew the truth. They knew about her. And they were willing to say it. And then she got fucking Harvey Weinstein's lawyer to confuse the stupid, ignorant ass fucking public. And they got that bitch off. They got that bitch off. She got off. So, I am going to most likely evolve in my content. Talk more about learning to love yourself, learning to heal from trauma, learning how to let yourself do the things you love to do. Let yourself start that project and then finish that project, even if it's just for a few minutes every now and then. Let's see if it's gonna droop or if it will stay. Maybe I will let it dry. I will let it dry horizontally so it won't droop. Where can I put it? Somewhere safe. Put it somewhere over here. It's dusty over here. Where's my phone? I'm gonna get back into stretching. Get some strength and some suppleness again. Well, I'm never short on things to interest me and things to hold my attention, things to do. I have some clients that pay me to do various things every week, and like I said before, I have no problem focusing more of my time and energy on work where I'm getting paid instead of just giving my opinion on YouTube to people who, except for my handful of loyal people. Thank you so much for being here and coming back again and again. I so appreciate you Jimbo and Paula and Steven and oh gosh, I know there's a few more people who come regularly. Marcus. Thank you for being here. And then all the other people who, I know there's some regulars that are always coming back, even though you don't comment. Why don't you start commenting? It would be so nice. And then I can chat with you back, or I can just say thank you for being here. Because I really do appreciate it. And I really appreciate when people comment and engage. So I just wanted to have a few more thoughts about this whole thing. And again, you know, when I said yesterday in the video that I did about, you know, all the evidence that the Karen Reed jury ignored. And at some point I said, this isn't really about Karen Reed, even though half of it was about her. But what I really meant by that was like kind of similar in this video. It's more about the system and how different rules apply to different people, and whether it's your socioeconomic position, how much melanin you have or don't have, how much money you have. And sometimes, to be honest, it's also about how sleazy are you as a human being? How willing are you to lie, cheat, steal, backstab, twist evidence, make shit up, throw other people under the bus, blame other people for the things you've done? And I was really, really hopeful that she was going to be found guilty of doing this so that John could start to get justice, and that his family could get justice, and then they could sue her for accusing them of doing what she's done. But now that she has avoided being held accountable by creating lies, she created lies, sound bites, and little slogans that were repeated ad nauseum, even though they're false, and then people believe them. Even my brother, who has no interest in this kind of stuff, he was like, oh, I didn't know about all that stuff. You know, he was like, well, what about his shirt? And I'm like, there was taillight fragments in his shirt. And then he had to go. You know, we only talked for a couple of minutes, but it's like, the average person doesn't know about all the details. And when you're just hearing about it secondhand, and what they're saying are the defense talking points and not the truth, what everybody is saying is the defense talking points. So in other words, the defense won. They won, not because she didn't hit him with her vehicle, not because the police did such a horrible job, not because there was no evidence against her, but because every single possible hole and little snag and little thing that they could blow up and turn into false doubt, but slap a label of it like, that's reasonable. It's not reasonable. But again, when you have an agenda, which is like, this white lady is going to get off no matter what, and then you've got a whole mob of people who are willing to support that, then, you know, it's easier. And then you've got legacy media who is willing to support that. And then you've got YouTubers who are willing to grift, because this angry mob also pays. You get money from your videos being watched by 10,000 people. They pay super chats. They pay super thanks. They buy memberships. They buy merch. They get your video having millions of views. Not because you're speaking the truth. Again, like, remember how I said that uncomfortable, complex truth? It's like, it's so much hard work. It takes so much patience and comprehension, and like, I gotta like sift through all this data. I have to like actually discern, and I have to like be able to weed through and filter out and sift through and sieve out like salacious sound bites and things that sound good, and You know, there's no evidence. There's no collision. The second trial, the paid experts for the defense, they didn't even pretend to be unbiased. They didn't even pretend to talk about the evidence. They just outright said, dog bites, no collision, no collision. Which was not supported by the evidence, the science, the data, the testimony, her SUV data, his cell phone data, the witness testimony. Literally, there was not a single thing that proved that what they were saying was true. But there was everything that proved that what the prosecution was saying was true. However, they were cute. They was so handsome. He had dimples. He was 6'4". 6'4", brown eyes, finance. Okay, 6'4", brown eyes, dimples, paid expert. Yeah. What do you expect in a world that would either vote in a reality show, actual, like, real life villain, real life convicted felon, 34th-time convicted felon, an adjudicated rapist twice over, a man who had 30 women at least accuse him of sexual assault and or harassment, all the teen pageants that he presided over for many years, and all those young girls, little girls who talked about how he assaulted them, and he is in charge. So, yeah. I'm not surprised that I'm not surprised that in this world where that can be true, that it could also be true that a jury, an ignorant jury, would go for the reality show. Like, even the clip where Karen said, "One of us is going down. It's either Jen or me." Dun, dun, dun. And I was like, that's so fucking cringe. That's literally like a reality show kind of type of, and like, why, what, like, what? How can she say that? I'm just shocked. I'm just baffled. And I'm also disappointed that in the world of the people who think that Karen Read is guilty, they're a bunch of wankers. Does that make me a wanker? Am I the asshole? I guess I might be the asshole in this case because I believe the evidence that proved that she hit him, not outrageous conspiracy theories, so that a guilty fucking white woman can get off. I didn't drink the Kool-Aid. I'm not buying it. And that's that. So I just wanted to make one more video to say someone somewhat sane. I don't know. Am I somewhat sane? I guess not. I'm just an insightful person who likes to be truthful about the things that I see. And the nuance, the inconvenient truth, the hard truth, the complex, uncomfortable, having to, really listen. I mean, it's not that hard, to be honest. Like, the taillight pieces were all over him. She left him there. He was exactly where she left him, just like she said. He was on the side of the road where I was expecting to find him, on the side of the road where I left him. Could I have clipped him? Could I have hit him in the knee? Could I have run over his foot? Did I incapacitate him somehow and he never got back up? He didn't look mortally wounded. John's dead. John was hit by a plow. I hit him. You what? I hit him. On the night, on January 29th, 2022, I said to David Yannetti, could I have hit him? What if I hit him? If I hit him, then what? Then you're going to be somewhat culpable. Oh, guess what? I didn't hit him. He went in the house. They did it. With what evidence? None. But I got a lot of money and a flashy smile, and I'm going to fucking create a media frenzy, and they're going to love it because I'm a white blonde lady with white extensions, blonde extensions, and they're going to lap it up and suck it up, and I'm going to get up here in my $3,000 suits and get in my ego bath and tell you to your face. He was a buffalo. John was a buffalo in the snow. And there you let him go. It's a sad day. I don't even like cops most of the time. I mean, good cops are good cops, but there's a lot of bad cops out there. But an innocent man who was doing nothing wrong, regardless, he didn't deserve that. And she didn't deserve to walk free, but she did. And there's no doubt anybody who's discerning and who's willing to face that uncomfortable, inconvenient truth would admit the justice system is not really fair or just, but it is a system, and you can work it depending on a lot of demographic data. But yet again, most people who are drawn into this kind of thing, they just want the drama. They just want the Netflix show and the Netflix hero win. Now you've got your fucking hero. Your weird pseudo anti-hero drunk driving murderer hero. Okay. Now she's gonna milk this man and his death for the rest of her life. Now she gets to just monetize his death and continue to defame his family, his loved ones. It's kind of a sick and twisted thing, don't you think? All right, see you in the next one. And we out.
CatLoveDreamingPeach.com